Grub. The Grub subsystem can be dynamically configured. Grub loads its configuration at startup, allowing boot time changes such as selecting different kernels or initial RAM disks. Grub is highly portable. Grub can download operating system boot images from network, thus supporting diskless systems. It uses the same 2 or 3 lines of command sequences to boot any OS, such as DOS, Windows, Linux, BSD, or SolarSys system, making it very easy to work with. Grub has GUI. Grub files were located under /boot/grub/, including the menu.lst file. Boot options. Timeout. Select how long you see the menu before the default operating system is selected and started. Default operating system sets the default operating system, including different kernels and any other OS if installed, although you can select another OS or version of Linux. Show bootloader menu specifies whether to show bootloader menu or not. The default or saved OS will be selected if not specified. Show text during boot. This option presents some textual information to allow you to see what is happening during boot. Linux Loader (Lilo). It can boot an operating system and does not depend on a specific file system. It can load up to one of 16 OSs. It is the default bootloader of Linux distribution after the popularity of Loadlin. It can boot from floppy drive. Various parameters like the root device can be set individually for each installed kernel. Boot equal to /dev/hda. It tells Lilo where to install the bootloader. In this case, it is going to install into the master boot record of the first hard drive. Install equal to /boot/boot.b. It tells Lilo what to use as a new boot sector. Compact. It makes Lilo read the hard drive faster. Timeout equal to 50. It tells Lilo how long to wait at the prompt before booting the default operating system, measured in the tenths of a second. NTLDR, New Technology Loader. It is typically run from a primary hard disk drive and also from CD-ROM, USB flash drive or floppy disk. It can also load a non-NT based operating system given the appropriate boot sector in a file. On installation, NTLDR does not detect any OS. Configuration of NTLDR is stored in boot.ini. Boot.ini is protected from user configuration by having the following attributes: system, hidden or read-only. Boot MGR. Boot MGR is a small piece of software called a boot manager that is loaded from the volume boot record. Boot MGR eventually executes winload.exe, the system loader used to continue the Windows boot process. Boot MGR helps your Windows operating system start. The boot MGR file itself is both read-only and hidden, and is located in the root directory of the partition. It is found in the system reserved partition of hard disk drive.
This is the advanced boot option for Windows. View a list of system recovery tools you can use to repair startup problems, run diagnostics, or restore your system. Start Windows with only the core drivers and services. Use when you cannot boot after installing a new device or a driver. Start Windows with core drivers plus networking support. Start Windows with core drivers and launch the command prompt. Creates a log file which lists all drivers that load during startup, including the last file to load before a failure. Set or reset the display resolution. Start Windows in low resolution display mode. Start Windows using settings from last successful boot attempt. Start Windows in directory services repair mode. Enable the Windows kernel debugger. Prevent Windows from automatically rebooting after a crash. Allows drivers containing improper signature to be loaded. Start Windows with its regular settings.
This is an example how to configure anti-LDR bootloader. We first open run by pressing Windows key plus R. Type msconfig to open the system configuration of Windows. Under General tab, we have various startup options. Normal startup is the usual startup which loads all drivers and services. Diagnostic startup is used in troubleshooting by loading the basic requirements only. Selective startup lets user further choose what should be loaded, hence giving user much needed control.
Under Boot tab, various boot options regarding the bootloader are present. SafeBoot provides us options like minimal boot startup, choosing an alternate shell for Windows, repair and present Active Directory, or we can also choose to enable network if needed. Booting can also be done without GUI for troubleshooting purposes. A boot log can be created for diagnostics. A base video can be created during booting. Or we can choose to display OS information while booting. It also lets us set a timeout for displaying the list of operating systems. We can set it.
Keep pressing shift while booting. Grub presents us with various options like normally loading the Ubuntu, choosing boot options, testing memory, or to load other OS. Under advanced options, out of the two options we choose the recovery mode to configure boot options of Grub. Here we have the recovery menu. Very first option is to normal resume the Ubuntu. Next is to clean any unused packages and to free space. We press yes, and here is the process. Next we can choose to repair all the broken packages using dpkg command. And it's going on and it's done. This option lets us boot in safer graphic mode. This option lets us check the integrity of the packages in our system. We can also update Grub. And here's the process and it's done. We can enable networking option if desired using the network option. Not only this, we can also create command line shell to execute commands without loading an OS. So this is an example. We can also choose to display system information concisely. Here is some of it. And now we normally resume the Ubuntu.